SBC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
Hello and welcome to the iGaming Daily, where today we're going to be running through the success of the recent World Darts Championship over the course of the past month. Today I'm joined by Jessie Sale, Senior Journalist for SBC News. How are you feeling after a few nights at Ali Pali last week, Jessie?
Great. I mean, honestly, I have got the Ali Pali flu, but it was worth every second. We had a great time, so yeah, I'm feeling all right.
Fantastic. And we're also joined by Christian Lee, business journalist for GamblingTV. How are you, Christian, and how did you find the last few matches of the Worlds?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you, Danny. It was definitely an exciting end to the World Championship, I think. I thought the final was a little bit flat, but just because of how good Luke Littler was in the end, the MVG couldn't really get close, but I think the best man won overall.
Yeah, I think the semi-finals and the final ended up being a bit of a whitewashing from Luke Littler, but still an exciting tournament all in all. But before we get into the podcast today, we're going to be talking about Paddy Power sponsorship and the actual sort of success of the tournament and the bigger 180 campaign. I'd just like to give thanks to our sponsors, Optimove, the #1 CRM solution for the iGaming market. Now, after last year's tournament, it was always going to be a tough challenge to sort of top the success of bringing Luke Littler to the big stage for the first time and drawing a lot of attention to darts and the sport from sort of all ages and all demographics now. In terms of engagement and commercial success, it was a huge year last year, and obviously Paddy Power, as the main sponsor of this event, had a big task to make it even bigger and even better. Now, I just sort of wanted to ask, as I think all three of us managed to get down to Ali Pali at some point this year, what were some of the key ingredients that made the tournament so successful? Jessie, I'll come to you.
I think obviously the World Championships anyway, it's always brilliant in itself. They've got good sponsors, good fans, great walk-ons, the atmosphere is unbeatable. But obviously this year you've got Luke Littler returning, so a lot of people were tuning in to watch him. A lot of people were rooting for him to win, which obviously he did go and win. As per my prediction in the last podcast, by the way, I did say he was going to win. And yeah, so there's just obviously there's so much going on all the time. I think you also had people there was other fan favourites as well, like Rashad Sweetin from the Bahamas. A lot of people hadn't heard of him, and he come off and everyone just loved him instantly. There's just so many different people that people just tune in to watch because it's just so brilliant and there's so much going on. There's so many characters. I think they did really well with the build up to it, the PDC and the sponsors did really good advertisements for it and social media posts just to get everyone really excited for it. Obviously, over the past year, the sport has grown so much, so that helped get the build up, the excitement to it all year round. And then finally, obviously, the 180 campaign that Paddy Power did a really good job of. Obviously, not only it's an amazing cause, that also added to the excitement as well, which we can touch upon later on.
Yeah, I do think, obviously, Luke Littler, what he brought to the tournament last year has sort of been enhanced even more this year, particularly with him winning all the media coverage that he's had over the past year. And a nice little plug for your prediction there as well, Jessie. Certainly a few fan favourites turning up as well. I remember Leonard Gates got a lot of love online for the little dances he was doing on stage. That was lots of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was so cute. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, it does seem although last year was obviously so successful, such a big moment for Paddy Power with this sponsorship and for this event, it did seem to be capitalised on again this year and sort of being made bigger and better. So Christian, how else do you sort of think that the tournament was made so successful this time round?
Yeah, as Jessie said about the sort of on-stage action, the players definitely delivered in terms of there's a couple of 9 darters, the big finishes, the big personalities on stage as well. And I think we'll talk about it later with the bigger 180 campaign, but I think that really helped to add to the narrative because when them 9 darters were hit, obviously they hit the headlines anyway, but the fact that they were giving money to charity and also giving money to people in the crowd, that just helped create bigger headlines and keep that narrative going for longer, which helped to build up the build up the atmosphere. And because they were hitting the early rounds as well, that got more eyes on it and then allowed people to see the darts and continue watching throughout the rest of the tournament.
Definitely, and it was sort of touched on a bit in the last podcast we did before the darts started in December. But Jessie, could you just explain what that bigger 180 campaign was from Paddy Power and sort of the 9 Dart initiative that ran alongside it, and sort of how that succeeded quite well at this event?
So obviously last year they did it for the first time. They just give £1,000 to Prostate Cancer UK for every 180 hits, which is great, and they raised so much money last year. This year they did exactly the same, but added the fact that if someone hit a 9-darter, they would give 180 grand, so they'd give 60 grand to the player, 60 grand to the charity, and then 60 grand to someone in the crowd as well, which was like a new thing, which was great, which obviously raised even more money. So obviously when Christian kissed, he hit the first 9-darter. They obviously give the money to the charity, to the player, but they also went they got the camera, didn't they, and panned around the crowd, which obviously is I think that's so fun. I think that not only adds to the excitement at Ali Pali, but on the TV as well, because you want to see who's going to win it. And the video after of the guy who actually won it, he just seemed really nice, and everyone was really happy for him that he'd won it. He just seemed like a really genuine guy. I'm not sure how big of a darts fan he was. I'm not sure how long he'd been going for, but yeah, he just seemed like someone that deserved it. But yeah, so I just think that it was really good.
Like I said, I think he'll definitely be a huge darts fan now after
Oh,
winning
he will be now.
60,000.
Yeah, definitely. He'll be back every year.
Yeah, I really think it did add a lot, that sort of 9-Dart initiative to add that to that campaign that obviously was quite a big project last year, and obviously a new thing for the tournament as well, like an added layer of engagement there. But the fact that they've enhanced a part of darts that's obviously so huge, such an exciting part of the game, is that anticipation to see if someone's gonna hit one, and to add that extra level of excitement for the fans in the crowd, for the player themselves that won some money from it. I think it was a great idea, and it might be something that maybe sort of added to again next year if Paddy Power look to enhance those sort of things further. Could
I
you
was
tell
gutted
us?
that we didn't see a 9-darter live. The only time that I've ever even come close was at the Premier League when Gerwin Price hit one, but I was in the toilet and I was so upset. I was really gutted.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
I
That's a
know.
nightmare. You must have heard the cheers from the toilet and been
I
so
did. I come
disappointed.
legging it out. It was too late, innit?
Oh, no. Christian, could you? I'm not sure if you've got the exact figure, but could you tell us sort of how much money was actually raised from this campaign, and maybe how much that compared to last year's figures?
So again, it hit over £1 million. I think it was £1,027,000 this year, and last year it was just short of £1 million. And Paddy Power ended up sort of adding the last bit of money to get it to £1 million. So it just shows that I think they were definitely boosted by them 9-darters, got them over the line to get over that 7-figure sum. And again, I think it just sort of, as I said about, in terms of, it just creates more storylines around the World Championships that Paddy Power can jump on the back of, because it garners sort of more positive publicity for them and also the sport as well, which will help everyone.
Yeah, definitely. And sort of in terms of other activations that Paddy Power brought to the tournament, there was a lot going on at Alexandra Palace. Paddy Power were really running the show down there. Jessie, could you give us an idea of what else sort of Paddy Power had going on that we maybe didn't see on the telly to maybe excite fans that are actually there at the Palace on the night?
Yeah, so obviously us three were lucky enough to actually go, which is great. I think I actually got to go 4 times, which is amazing. So yeah, I saw it all. They had the fan zone, which was really good. They had Beat the Pro, so people were queuing up to beat professional players. There was Chris Mason there. There was a spinning dartboard, bullseye challenge. So that really just got people getting involved really. And me and you, Danny, actually ran. We were running around one of the stands for 30 minutes. We're getting people to do a blindfolded bullseye challenge, which I think went down really well. Everyone seemed to have a laugh with that. We were putting the Paddy Power underwear on people's heads so no one could see where they were throwing. Everyone was a bit useless, but it was a lot of fun. So that got the crowd involved outside of just watching the games. There was stuff to do at the actual stadium. Also in the hospitality bit, they had Russ Bray in there, doing 9-dart challenges with people. There was just, everywhere you look, there was just stuff going on really, and they did a lot. Paddy Power did a lot on social media as well. they did like that Emma Payton like short video, short film thing where she was like in a wedding dress and she was like marrying one of the fans, which was really funny. And yeah, just stuff like that. There was a lot online which like built up the excitement and just showed people at home like what else is going on and what it's all about, like the fun like atmosphere of it all.
Yeah, there was definitely some great advertisements for going to the darts and why it is such like a great night out to be out there and be all dressed up with your mates. Obviously, a lot of drinking going on, and but having all those like fun stuff to do around there as well. I do think it did add an extra level of engagement. And you're right as well. Paddy Power do always seem to be quite on it with social media in terms of like sketches and different campaigns that they've got going on to keep people excited about these events, and this event in particular, as the main sponsor, that's their priority to really build a bit of a buzz for a bit of excitement, and I do think they did that quite well in lots of ways online and definitely in person. It was lots of fun going around, seeing how people were doing on that spinning dartboard. The other different challenges that were around the arena as well, set up by different sponsors like Fireball and Target and Red Dragon, stuff like that. There was plenty going on, and it was fun to see everyone having a good time. It's one of the best things about the darts, really. It's always such a great atmosphere. There's
I've
not
still
too
got
much.
my Fireball tattoo stuck on, by the way. It won't come off like those temporary tattoos. It's not coming off. I have showered, I promise.
Well, that's a prize that lasts a long time then.
SBC Leaders connects the gambling industry's top-tier operators and associations to share the best ideas, collaborate on solving the biggest issues, and push innovation throughout the betting and gaming industry. If you're an operator and want to join the discussion, visit sbcleaders.com for more information.
Yeah, it was good to see lots going on. And the darts atmosphere is always lots of fun. There's never too much like rivalry or tribalism going on like you sometimes get at football. It's just everyone wanted to have a good time. And there was, I suppose, actually some interesting matchups across the month as well that helped to build a bit of engagement, certainly in terms of the sort of the betting that Paddy Power would have had on the side of things as well. Christian, I'll come to you on this one. So how successful do you think Paddy Power has been in sort of making this event successful for them as a bookmaker and like sort of becoming the official bookmaker for this event through this sponsorship that they have with the PDC and the World Darts Championship?
Yeah, I'd definitely say they've cemented themselves as the name you associate with the World Championships. And given the fact that this is the tournament of the year and the one that has the most eyes in it, you can argue they've sort of well positioned themselves to be seen as the official bookmaker of darts. But I think as well, when you look at the rest of the darting calendar, you can sort of argue that it is something that is of interest to a lot of different operators, because you look at events like the Premier League, that's sponsored by BetMGM. So there is room for a lot of different operators to take advantage of the growth of the sport.
Definitely. You've
and
got
consider it as a
the event down in
lucrative
Minehead,
avenue
the
for
Players
marketing
World
efforts.
Championship, that's sponsored by Ladbrokes as well. There's lots of different opportunities there for operators, and obviously I do think maybe there is a bit of an urge for these operators to really push the boat out with these events and sort of try to make the sport their own in some way. And I definitely think Paddy Power put their own stamp on darts in the past month with these different activations that they've had going on. And you wonder whether it's been like quite a successful month for them as an operator. There's been a few upsets that happened across the tournament. I don't know if you could comment on any of them at all, Christian, if there's any sort of results that you thought were quite surprising or ones that would maybe go against the odds.
Well, I think if you look at the second round when the seeds came in, there was quite a few different seeds who went out early. Michael Smith got beat. James Wade was beat. A few. I can't think of any other names that come to mind straight away. But if you look at the betting on that, if anyone did have money on the underdogs, then they would have made got a decent return from them sort of matches. And I think that is the beauty of something like the World Championship, that it's not just the top 32, because it's so many different players who have the chance to win over the set format. There is opportunities there for upsets that operators can use their advantage, but also punters can use their advantage as well if they can pick out the right ones.
Yeah, exactly. And with like Luke Humphries going out a lot earlier than like expected as well. Like everyone I spoke to, like I did a few interviews, like who do you think's going to win? Every single person, bar like one, said Luke Humphries. So that was obviously a massive
Definitely,
shock
and
as
I
well,
think one
which
thing
adds to
that
like the
sort of,
excitement of
I
it.
mean,
'Cause you
Paddy Power would
literally
have been
just don't know
hoping
what's
to
going to
happen
happen.
is obviously because of how important Luke Littler has been to the sport and its growth over the past year. The fact that he obviously made it all the way through to the final, won the whole thing, that would have been so important for that engagement that we were trying to build for the tournament, having him go all the way and be involved as much as possible. But obviously, unfortunately for them, Paddy Power haven't really been able to use Luke Littler in their marketing or any social media or anything like that, because obviously he is underage. So it's a bit of a shame for them in a way, but it has built up a buzz and excitement. And I suppose now that we've had 2 World Darts Championships sponsored by Paddy Power at this point, and it has obviously started off really well last year and been built on at this time round, I'm just sort of wondering how you maybe think that Paddy Power could build on this success even further next time round, whether there might be an idea to enhance these sort of campaigns that they're doing, or maybe push for other activations at the event. How do you sort of think Paddy Power can go about and try and make this even more successful next time round?
I think for me, sort of, it would be looking away from the Darts World Championships and look to the rest of the darting calendar, because in terms of the World Championships, the only thing they can really do now is give away more money, which I'm sure they will be thinking about that in terms of the next publicity campaign. But unless there's someone who can come in who's more famous than Luke Littler, which I doubt there will be at this point, in my opinion, what they should be doing is looking at trying to sponsor a different tournament or a different major, such as something like the Grand Slam of Darts, sort of get the name out there across the year,
Yeah,
rather than just being something
I
that
think that's definitely a good
is thought
point.
about over
Looking
Christmas
at
during the World
other sort of
Championship.
events and other ways that they can sort of capitalise on the huge sort of impact they've had on darts already in this past couple of years could be a great shout. Jessie, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think I agree. Like throughout the year, may carry on just like with the darts content. Like, yeah, just carry on doing what I'm doing. Obviously, we think they'll probably maybe add to the bigger 180 campaign,
Yeah, I
maybe
do
even
suppose
bigger
that
180
might be
campaign. I
one
think
thing that they
that's
can
successful, so they'll
touch
probably
on next
carry
year
on
in
adding
terms
to
of
that.
how
But yeah,
how
I
can they
agree
make
with
it
everything
even
Christian
bigger.
said.
What else can they do to put more importance on it's Prostate Cancer UK, the charity that it's donated to. Is that right? Yeah. So how can they put a bit more emphasis on that, raise more awareness, and raise more money in that campaign will be something they'll be looking to do next year, I'm sure. So I suppose before we finish off, we recently had the announcement for BetMGM's Premier League darts, which comes up in the next couple of months. And I suppose just before we round off, I wanted to see if you had any comments on the lineup that was announced yesterday. I believe we had Luke Humphries, Luke Littler, Michael Van Gerwen, Rob Cross, Stephen Bunting, Nathan Aspinall, Gerwin Price, and Chris Dobie. Are you both happy with that lineup? Anyone that you think should have been involved that has missed out?
I don't think so. I'm happy with that lineup. I think everyone's in there deserves to be in there. Would you agree?
Yeah, the only one I was a little bit surprised was Nathan Aspinall, just because I know he got to the quarterfinals maybe, but he did
Yeah.
seem to be struggling. He did seem to be struggling a bit. I mean, he is someone who has like battled their injuries, so wasn't sure if he would sort of decide to have a year out the Premier League
Yeah,
to help the
I
rest of
think
his year. But
BetMGM will be
I suppose again he's a
quite
fan's
happy to
favourite, so
sort
you
of
can see why
have him in
he's
there.
been put in there.
He's a player that does bring like quite a few eyes in some ways with his. I've heard a lot of people saying that he might just be there because of his walk on, because he's got Mr. Brightside by the Killers, and that really gets the crowd going. So they'll be happy with him being there, I'm sure. no love for Peter Wright to be in there at all? No? Or who else has just missed out? Dave Chisnell?
I just don't think he's done enough throughout the year. Again, I don't think either Wright or Chisnell have done enough sort of over this year to justify them being back in the Premier League again.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think they've got it bang on, to be honest. And happy Stephen Bunting's in there. Obviously, that'll get a lot of people watching it as well, because he's got so many fans.
Thanks for joining us today, then, both of you. It's been a great tournament to watch. Lots of enjoyment over the Christmas period and New Year's. It really does. It does become like quite a focus for a lot of people up and down the country, the darts. So it's been nice to talk over it and give a bit of a review to what's clearly been a good year for Paddy Power in terms of their sponsorship for the World Darts Championship. And to everyone listening at home, thank you very much. And we'll see you on the next episode of the iGaming Daily.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News network or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.